Pepsi Cola. Oh, God! Goodness! Goodness, everybody! When was the last time we recorded one of these? When did we finish the season?
Had to at least be, what, like 6 months ago? Or was it when you visited? Did you visit for Thanksgiving? Okay.
No. I think it was like August or something.
Yeah.
I didn't edit it till like 2 weeks ago, but so yeah, we're back. We get 4 specials. Technically 3 specials in the start of the season, but one's counted because it's a Christmas special, I guess, sort of.
I wish we were doing this like a year after we had watched it.
So we have no idea what the notes mean or anything at all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess it's probably best to just go into them and then kind of share thoughts as we go and have a, like we do every single time, like we've done for the past 14 seasons.
All right.
Okay. All right. So we start with the Star Beast.
Starbeast?
So we start with Star Beast.
Starbeast?
And this is the first special. This comes right after the death and cannibalization of Chris Chibnall and
thank God.
and the return of David Tennant and Mr. Davies and Mr. Gold.
I know these teeth. I know these kidneys.
Kidneys. Yeah. So this episode.
What happens?
That's a great question.
Okay, we start with an anime flashback, anime recap, actually. It's really funny looking. It's David Tennant standing in front of a green screen, which he usually does. Well, usually he runs in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
And here he's standing, looking straight into the camera.
And speaking to the camera.
Yeah.
Should I read the first note? Because it's relevant to this.
For it.
Once upon a time, Lord.
Oh my God. I forgot that was the first line.
That's the opening line to this,
That's
set
good.
of specials.
That's good. Davies, how long did it take you to come up with that one?
He's been cooking for 10 years working on that line.
To write that. Yep. And so he's, I mean, I will say it is kind of brave of them to like just go right into it like this. They just give you a recap and fully expect you to go along with him just like showing up near Donna's home and which is, I mean, yeah, how else would you do it, honestly? They're just trying to get the ball rolling on this whole Donna story thing, which is like, you would assume is the reason he's sort of regenerated or like has something to do with that.
Yeah.
It would be Donna's storyline because that's like kind of the only thing that was left sort of open.
Unresolved,
with Tennant's run. And I had my predictions for this were way more positive or like way more like I gave them way more benefit of the doubt on what they were planning.
Yeah.
I thought because the way, I don't know if she was just not into it. What's her name? Something Tate.
Catherine Tate.
Yeah. I don't know if she was just like not in character. It's been a while since she played the character or something, but the way she was acting made it feel like she was in on the fact that she didn't know anything or wasn't supposed to know anything.
Right.
Remember, wasn't supposed. It was like the way she was acting felt like she knew she wasn't supposed to remember.
At least subconsciously or something. Yeah.
And because that led me to believe that like I knew that there was going to be the stupid twist at the end or whatever where somebody knows something like how the Doctor usually does.
Right.
I knew there was going to be a twist at the end that it wasn't the Doctor this time, but similar to how the Doctor always like figures it out or outsmarts the bad guy or whatever.
The monologue.
The Sherlock kind of thing.
The schlock.
Yeah, and I just knew it belonged to somebody else and not him, and I thought it was going to be Donna, and that she like secretly did remember, but just I don't know, for some reasons couldn't reveal it. But it was her daughter.
Sort of, yeah.
Sort of. They sort of revealed at the last second. I don't know. Whatever.
It was
the plot is not that interesting. We're just here. We're here to brass tacks. We're here to criticize.
We're haters here.
I realize reiterating every detail of the plots are not always the that interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
So I say we speed run this.
Yeah, so I mean, the plot for this is super simple. He shows up, he's near Donna. He's like, "Oh shoot!" Accidentally gets involved in her family. There's a space
the
thing
side
called the
plot-
Meep.
Yeah, there's a side plot with a space fugitive,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's like
That's it. Yeah,
it's the super predictable like fake out
Bait and
like
switch,
it's cute but it's secretly evil whatever. So is that the Star Beast? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
That it must
yeah.
be right.
So the Meep is not an original
What's
character.
Donna's daughter's name?
Rose.
Are we sure Rose isn't the Star Beast?
I mean, that was like metaphorically what they were going for.
Yeah, no, I mean that. It's got to be the Meep.
I mean, yeah, that was one of the lines, right? Like metaphorically, but the Meep is not new. It was not in Classic Who, but it was in a Doctor Who comic or a couple of Doctor Who comics from the 80s.
Oh wow, way back.
And I believe the comic is called Doctor Who and the Star Beast. So that's probably where the title comes from.
I like that they actually made a puppet. It wasn't just entirely CGI. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool to see the practical side of it. We get a I think Davies. Maybe Davies and Moffat were always the same. Yeah, we get a one of the series sinkers. There's quite a few in here of like what might come next. Where the Meep is this big, evil thing that killed millions or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to report you to my boss." Is like his line at one point.
Yeah, and there's another one at the beginning of the next episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I know that it wasn't just a bit that you thought it was, because the new Doctor says it as well.
I still think it might be a bit.
I don't think they keep that
but I know
running past an episode.
Exactly. I was gonna say, but that is the Davies thing where he's like, "It's following me."
We'll get to
Harold
that,
Saxon.
The episode ends with them. They can stop the Meep, but they need to.
But Donna
Doctor
remember.
needs to reemerge.
Yeah.
So he does his Vulcan thing, and she remembers. And
well, he does his like super soldier activation
it's
thing.
a Manchurian candidate
Yeah.
thing. It was really funny. It was so
banana dance
it was
binary.
Yeah, it was good. It was funny. It was goofy because he was so serious. And then he's all upset that he's killed her, even though they stopped the Meep with her. And then, but it's the big reveal at the end. The big genius plot that wasn't the Doctor's doing this time was the fact that Donna's daughter has some of the meta crisis Time Lord regeneration consciousness in her as well. Yeah, which is like whatever. I can buy that.
Yeah, that's fine. Who cares?
It's just what comes next that's even worse is the way they solve it so that they don't both like their neurons don't fry to bits because humans can't handle Time Lord brain.
Yeah.
Is
or specifically the Doctor's brain.
Do you want to take it away? Because I couldn't even. I apparently missed it.
You did. You looked away. Yeah. So, well, like you're right in the first part. Their solution is that the meta crisis was passed down or like parceled out genealogically, I guess.
Yeah.
So Rose received half of it or whatever, which allowed Donna and Rose to not instantly just burst into flames or whatever. I don't know what happens when you activate that, but their solution was, I believe this is a direct quote from the episode. They're holding hands and they're like lighting up like they're gonna explode because of the meta crisis.
It looks like the start
it's a regeneration. Yeah, exactly. And Donna says, the Doctor says something like, "I don't know how to solve this," or something. And Donna said, we're gonna do what only women can do and let it go. Which is like thematically important for the series, but what a stupid line.
Yeah, and I have to say, so I'm gonna try to not be unhinged here, but I'm gonna say, because I did pick up on one line that was quite ridiculous. There's
quite a few, but yeah. I think this episode is the most egregious of.
Probably. I think the biggest thing wrong with I also dislike the new Doctor special, but that might be more because it's boring rather than offensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what I noticed with this one is, so Donna's daughter is trans, and a line that I thought was kind of ridiculous, even if you were a trans person and supportive of that. So she wants to be a woman, right? That's
Yes.
what she identifies as.
Yep.
And that's why she's also apparently allowed to let go of the meta crisis burning your
Right.
insides.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But she says something like, she
Yeah, she says that. Yeah.
says something like, I'm both and neither and
Yep.
something more.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but that's not, but that's kind of like them trying to like speak to like LGBT people. Is
Absolutely.
it not that
Yeah,
line? That
absolutely.
line is it not pandering to that? But that's not what Rose's character is. Is she not a trans woman?
Well,
Like,
no, and your point is kind of
she's
interesting.
not non-binary. Like, it's just
Right. Your point is interesting too, because
it's like mixing.
to be honest, I know basically nothing about this, but
Yeah.
it seems to me as though that line would be what someone who was outside the LGBT community would
Exactly.
describe a trans person as.
This is more of a criticism of Davies being like
Pandering, essentially. Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm not an ally, and I could I understand this shit better than they do.
It
than
seems
the
like-
people
yeah.
than the panderers do,
Right.
Because it's not somebody who's non-binary or neither or both. It's somebody who's trying to be a woman.
Exactly. Yeah. That is part of, if you're going to set it up as a binary, that is part of the binary, right?
Yeah.
And that was interesting too. I think you were looking away during this line too. You just looked away during all the good parts, I guess. But when they were showing like a flashback of Donna's super soldier activation, that they cut to Rose at the end of it also getting the super soldier activated.
Oh yeah.
And Donna was saying binary and she said non-binary. It was
Actually,
yeah. It was a 10 out of 10
I
writing
almost
moment.
don't even believe you.
I am
almost need to see that.
100% serious.
I think I need to see that myself, or I just don't even believe you. That's so ridiculous.
It was goofy as fuck.
Yeah, someone who is even like in that scene, or is gay or identifies as something non-conventional, I would feel would find some of this stuff like not inaccurate or even offensive or like just out of touch,
Or just on a narrative perspective, they would go, wow, this writing is bad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know?
That's almost that's even like I see it as the goal was to pander, and I don't even think they achieved that.
Right.
Kind of like with the we brought it up before we started the Rosa Parks episode.
Yeah.
I thought that one was,
No, that one, similar type deal where you would go, would the people that you're trying to represent or, I don't know, writing towards, I guess, would they even appreciate or approve of this because you've squandered the message essentially?
or is it just
or
for
you've
white
like
British women?
Yeah, exactly. you've reduced the message to something so simplistic that you've taken away the actual message, right? Because for the Rosa Parks one,
You've shot yourself in the foot.
yeah, for the Rosa Parks one, it was like, oh, there wasn't actual I mean, this is a simplification of a simplification, but it was like, there's no actual racism. It's because Trump's supporter from the future came back and wants to keep segregation, right? Which is like such a, why would you?
Well, I just no. I mean, yeah. The villain was, I mean, almost like a non-entity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then them trying to represent, discrimination based on race or whatever. In turn, they of course, as you almost always do, almost always it's like almost they have to do it. Is they make every single non-discriminated against character like a caricature.
Yeah, exactly.
Like all the white people were, quite. They just seemed cartoonish.
Yeah, there's no
bad.
nuance behind it. Yeah.
And well, other than that, what do you think? Tenet's return. How do you think he did on his re-debut?
He looks very good for how old he is.
Oh yeah. I think he looks skinnier.
I was gonna say he has the Vinder AIDS meta crisis. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. He's working out or something, or unworking out.
He's just
he's falling
not
away.
eating. He's taking that new pill.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought his performance was still really good, even when they gave him kind of shit dialogue.
It's like a Capaldi
He was
situation. Almost.
exactly, yeah. He was able to really sell it.
Yeah, it's like he's in such a bad place to be, given like how much like gravitas there is behind the character, or behind his run, how much like, adoration there is, and yet, despite him having to step into and like take on this challenge of this like really new shitty script with shitty plots, and him being there in the first place likely for nostalgia bait, and
we'll get to that. I have thoughts on that.
Reviving their viewership. Despite being a fan of the older stuff, newer stuff, who recognizes all of this for what it is, it's still so just like believable. You still accept him like almost on a dime.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though I think it's quite ridiculous that they would do something like this instead of just try to keep forging ahead, making something new, being creative.
Yeah.
Instead of just rehashing old tricks. It's still just, you hear that, oh, David Tennant's going to be the Doctor again, and you almost just like, yeah. You almost just accept it, because more so I think because of how bad it's been.
Yeah.
That you kind of are just like looking for anything to for it to sort of restore itself at all. But I still think in general it's a bad thing, because it's a sign of just like sign of death. It's a sign of desperation. But I did think his performance is of course as good as always.
Back to the pandering, because I think that's the crux of this episode. The flux of this episode.
The flush of this episode.
One line that almost gave me an aneurysm because of just how straight up it was, I guess, how blatant it was, is when they're talking to the Meep inside the noble household. And I think the Doctor calls it a he or something. And I don't remember which character it was. So.
Rose gets all uppity and is like, what do you
was it Rose?
as?
Yeah, she was like, do you just assume his pronouns or something? Which is like...
Yeah, no, I had seen that clip on Twitter, because like Twitter's criticizing the quote woke stuff coming out from Doctor Who.
Sure.
Or whatever. And like as they always do. And so I knew that was coming, so I had kind of just like accepted that.
Right.
And I think that's like one of the lesser. It's almost, I almost expect that.
Really?
Of characters Rose. Of Rose's character.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, of what that character represents, which is pandering to this community. And I almost find that like, that's almost like, if they had kept the pandering at that would almost be like the correct amount. That would almost be like enough to satiate the community that they're going for.
They've gone too far into Gatus territory.
They've gone into this weird, like, they almost like ridiculed or insulted the community they're going after, because they're like, because she's like, I'm both, I'm neither. But it's like that, but that's not what you represent. You represent a specific part of the community.
Not
Not the
whole
of
thing.
It. Yeah. Anyway. See, I'm a better liberal than a liberal, and I'm not even that. So
you're the only monster in this house. Yeah, and it's such a distraction too. This is the case for all quote unquote woke politics. It's this kind of social religion, right, which is used to keep revolutionary tendencies at bay and to suppress minorities who might speak out by giving them false representation and making them feel like they're accepted, so that they, buy more Coke or whatever.
Yeah, I have different opinions on that, but I don't want to turn this into... this is a Doctor Who podcast. I don't want to turn this into Joe Rogan or whatever.
We've been Joe Rogan all along, actually, yeah. I don't know if I have too much else to say about this. It is a boring... It is... Okay, here's something else. We have in the past criticized Moffat because... And actually, Davies criticizes him a few episodes from now for his inability to kill people. And I think it is a sign of the times. We saw this in Chibnall with the saturation and the colors and everything. But this has become fully a kid show, fully PG kid show. Marvel, like turn your brain off, whatever, because we cannot kill any character. We kill one character in this episode, and it's a bug, alien, robot man. Who cares?
There's also just a random kid that, for as if even you can fool me for a second that you're going to do anything harmful to this kid,
Right.
and I don't know if you were leading to this, but in addition to not even being able to like create any stakes or threat or and by doing that through essentially murder and death,
Yeah.
you can't even do property damage anymore.
Nope.
Because the Meep's ship is like has to basically destroy Earth or all of London or whatever to like create the fuel to get
take
away.
off. Yeah.
And it's like, creating all these crevices into the Earth, and they reverse it or they stop it, and somehow that reverses the crevices in the Earth it created. And it's and they also travel. I know it's like an effects thing. They kind of it just seemed cheap to me. If you have this budget, you're not fooling me when all the crevices travel perfectly down an empty street,
straight down the street,
not through any buildings that would have to require you to affect a building crashing into the Earth. But I will say, I think this is episode doing all this or doing all that or failing to do that create those stakes and tension. I think that's a fault of whoever wrote this episode. Was it Davies?
It was Davies, yeah.
Okay.
He wrote all these.
Okay. All of them?
Yep.
But he didn't direct all of them.
No.
Okay. Either way. So I think that's Davies being a little more childish like that or tapping into that like child or man-child market. But I think he does kind of fix that by the third special, because that one did have some stakes.
I agree.
That people did end
I
up
absolutely
like
agree,
dying. I mean, because we'll get to it, but Tenet has a line that stuck with me where it's like, and what about all the people that died?
Exactly. Yeah.
So he does kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, but you didn't even have to kill anyone. Like, for instance, like we're talking about here, if those cracks caused by the ship went into that house, and maybe we keep cutting back to the kid holding on for dear life as he's gonna like fall down, and then the crack goes cold and he climbs back up, after whatever. Yeah. But the fact that and then they just play the
he's
footage backwards and it's reversed.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And he's just staring out the window at it like, oh, this is interesting.
And to this point as well, the kind of sterilization of, or like the commodifization, whatever you want to call it. This episode was directed by Rachel Talalay, who did Heaven Sent and I want to say Face the Raven and a couple of other ones that are like really well directed. Like they look great. The camera movement's great. The composition is great. All the acting and stuff. And it makes me feel like, because this stylistically, maybe not narratively, maybe not the acting, but stylistically, the way it looks,
it's the best it's ever been.
It's the best it's ever been technically, but it looks like Chibnall to me. It looks like Marvel, Star Trek, boring. Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I want to say this was probably more of a studio directing type thing. And she probably didn't do a bunch, or she is just very good at taking like notes from the studio.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or it lends credence to the idea that when you have an essentially almost like unlimited budget, or rather a budget that's big enough to do things you weren't able to do before, you almost lose some of what made it so special or unique, as opposed to having like a very limited budget. So I mean, there's that possibility as well.
I mean, I think Doctor Who's a great example of art through adversity. The first series is a fucking mess production wise. They had no money. The set was terrible. Interactions on the set were terrible, and that's probably the best season.
I was looking even at some footage even from like season 4's finale, like Stolen Earth and stuff. And so at least maybe it's because of the nature of the scenes themselves, but the scenes with Wilf and Donna's mom and whatever, they feel just so much. They literally look like sitcoms.
They do.
Or they literally look like soap operas. I mean, the whole thing is kind of a soap opera, really, or at least gives those vibes sometimes.
Yeah.
At least when you like bring in familial characters.
And I think that was always kind of, to an extent, Davies' pursuit. Yeah, his specialty, right? He wanted to ground it in the families and the characters and kind of maintain that attachment to Earth in a sitcom-y way,
That's
which
further proven by the wrapping up of these
Yeah.
Tenet specials
Yeah,
in the third
absolutely.
one. So we'll get to that as well.
Yeah. The last thing I guess I'll mention from this episode, because it's important for my argument later and for another one of these specials, is we get Unit comes back immediately,
Of course.
and we get the introduction of the new science officer of Unit, whose name I cannot remember. She's in the
Lady in the wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember.
The Vlicks. We remember the
we
Vlicks.
remember the. We'll get to the Vlicks. Yeah. Do you have anything else for this, or should I just read the notes?
New TARDIS, right? We get introduced to the new TARDIS.
We do, yeah.
And then it malfunctions, and that goes in the next episode. But
Yeah.
personally, I like it. I'm okay with it.
It's back to the first Doctor's TARDIS essentially,
Really?
which is fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind
I
of
guess I
sterile
wouldn't
white.
know.
It's got the orbs.
Yeah, but they light up RGB orbs.
They got
We
the light up
gamer
orbs.
RGB orbs.
Yeah, and Donna comes in immediately, and she fucking ruins the new
Yeah,
TARDIS.
so the new TARDIS, you know, of course, all TARDIS kind of has to have its quirkiness to it, and
Yeah.
this one makes coffee for you.
Yep.
That's pretty quirky. And Donna pours coffee into the console, and it's comical. It's almost, I mean, did they mean it to be comical?
I think they meant it to be comical.
Because I think it's comical in an unintentional way, where the freaking thing immediately blows up and is
It
on
does, yeah,
fire.
it catches on
And they're
fire.
they're starting to fly through time and space.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but doesn't that? So going into the wait, do you want to read your notes first?
Yeah, let me read the notes first. I only have two other ones because I did the Once Upon a Time Lord. They got your line wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And activation code, which we talked about.
Yeah.
This is a 3 out of 10. Anyways, please continue.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah, and then the next one is just a little romping TARDIS gone wild adventure, which
Yep.
I mean I appreciate.
Yeah, next one
it's
is
a little
called.
ridiculous the way it happened, but
Next one is called Wild Blue Yonder.
yeah.
Please.
TARDIS is going nuts, and they're flying through time and or space.
Yep.
And they end up. Well, first they end up going to when is it?
1666, right?
Yeah, whenever
Newton
Newton invented, or supposedly got the inspiration
for the theory of gravity.
theory of gravity, and apparently the word gravity hadn't existed either, which
is
isn't
not true. Yeah.
I looked into that, and I had seen things like the Latin roots were definitely there.
Yes,
like gravitas.
gravitas,
Yeah. And so they make this joke that he's like, oh, they Donna and Doctor, as they're like flying through, and they find him doing the apple thing.
Yep.
They like make a joke about they make a pun, gravity, the situation, and he's like, and they fly away, and he's like, what was that word? Schmavity? Mavity? And so now, whenever they say gravity through this, the next, and the following special, even the one that's just purely this new Doctor,
Yep.
They say mavity instead of gravity.
Actually, in this special, first he says gravity, and Donna goes, what? And he's like, oh, the Mavity field.
Right. That's to, I think, get further attention
Exactly,
to it.
yeah. And
he thinks it was a bit, which I can understand.
I think, I don't know.
But the fact that it goes on to the next two specials, I think means it's more than a bit. It's gonna come back. I think, especially because they made Newton this non-white guy. I think he's gonna come back.
I think it was my original opinion was it was just an extended bit, but having the evidence of Bad Wolf and Saxon and that the bees are disappearing, all the Davies arcs are just like this one line that's repeated.
Yeah.
It's very likely it probably is a season arc thing.
I would think it was just a bit if it was contained to that episode.
Yeah.
But the fact that it goes over the others, and like you said, the other season arcs. And I literally do think this actor they got for Newton, he's going to be back too, because it's going to be related.
Well, yeah, he'll probably have to be if that's part of the arc. Yeah, and something they do here, which personally I'm a Newton hater because I'm a Leibniz guy, but it's very clear Newton is an incredibly smart guy, and he contributed so many important things. Right? Even if you just take away like his contributions to calculus and calculus notation, you get like theory of gravity, you get all of Newtonian physics, you get optics, you get a million things, right? and he was classically trained. He had a good education.
They make him seem like a dope.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. He's very clearly smart.
Yeah.
One of his famous books is called, I cannot remember it, but it's in Latin. The title is in Latin. He would know Latin. He would know the root gravitas. He would be able to derive gravity like he did historically. He would not just go name something this arbitrarily, and it reduces the contributions, which I don't care if you reduce the contributions because I hate Newton, but you know,
All right.
I'm a Newton hater.
Moving on, they crash into some spaceship on the edge of the universe.
They're edging this whole episode.
They're edging on the universe, and the TARDIS doesn't.
Actually, they answered my one thing. You remember at the beginning of this episode, I'm like, when we start writing Doctor Who, I'm getting rid of the sonic screwdriver, and then immediately they get rid of the sonic screwdriver.
Bring up in the last episode, in the first special. He can magically do a new thing with
he is like hologram like technology and then like a force field.
Yeah, and it is quite obnoxious. I don't think he uses it quite as much in the same way that, I mean, at least that in that case, I think it's a stupid superpower thing, but at least it has some utility versus...
Right, it's a plot thing,
versus the thing with Chibnall where she literally just scans everyone and everything instead of the Doctor just having like that innate knowledge, like
and doesn't use it either. She just scans it, looks at it, is like, oh.
Yeah, it's annoying. I know this was like a quirky bit when they first did it, but what happened to the Doctor being able to tell like what year he and region of the Earth
tasting
he was in
it
by
or something?
Tasting the air? Like I know, and that was a quirky bit, which was obnoxious, but still, it's supposed to like give some kind of. It's supposed to give some more character to the Doctor, make him more impressive.
Yeah, the problem I have had with Doctor Who since late Moffat, definitely Chibnall and into this era, is his intelligence has been greatly reduced, or rather his problem-solving skills have been greatly reduced.
It's been cheapened to like this, to just like this Reddit punchline, quirkiness.
And I'll talk about this more in the next episode, but that has been probably my biggest problem with Doctor Who since, I want to say Moffat left, maybe even a little before Moffat left.
Yeah. And so now they're stuck on this spaceship on the edging of the universe. And the Doctor goes to use his sonic screwdriver to factory reset the TARDIS, basically.
Yeah, call it back,
Well...
Oh, you mean,
the reason it disappears is because he starts the factory reset. So now they're stuck on the ship, and he doesn't have his screwdriver. And they're hoping it'll come back. The reason it left is because one of the factory settings is it'll leave if there's too much danger in the area.
Which we have seen before. That happened in Impossible Planet, if you remember.
No, I thought it just fell. I thought it just... Impossible Planet,
Maybe.
I thought it just fell. Oh, there was another...
Okay, I'm thinking of a different... There was one where it left. Okay. No, it's... I don't know. There is one where this happens.
Either way, they kind of are able to retcon or whatever by saying he just usually has it off the setting because he's, a adrenaline head or whatever. And so they explore this ship that's looks like Spy Kids 3. There's a giant hallway. And, I don't have a problem with it necessarily looking like Spy Kids 3 because I love that movie. But it is a bit silly.
Yeah, and I think we speculated that the budget was unevenly distributed because they definitely have the budget to do something better
in the following special.
But it seems like it was probably.
They make use of their parsing out of the budget.
They do, yeah.
They make the most of the sort of low budget, Moonlight-esque episode.
This is essentially a bottle episode
is what I meant.
So
right. So now they're exploring the ship and they start getting into like a deep conversation about what's been going on with them since they've last seen each other. They're in two separate rooms doing some kind of
she's replacing the circuits, he's resetting like the hydraulics,
cutting back and forth with these sudden harsh cuts to them like talking to each other. And you assume it's just at two different times, but it's, the grand reveal of the thread of the episode.
My arms are too long.
Yeah, with the random counting down or
hey,
3. Hey, who turned off the lights kind of thing. the
That's
villain,
a Moffat move. He
it is
took a Moffat move.
He really did learn a bit. And the threads themselves, they're called no things, which is kind of silly. It's just things from the void that take shape and form based on all of this light or information that's traveled to them somehow from so far.
They're the horrifying Oompa Loompa things from Spy Kids 1.
Oh yeah.
What are those things called? The
Funglies? The Fooglies, yeah.
Fooglies,
yeah. More callback to Spy Kids 3. I think he had watched Spy Kids 3 before making this episode.
He must have,
because they also can change their forms. They look like Doctor and Donna, but then they like start doing the like Photoshop liquefy effect on their faces and stuff like that.
Because they're learning to maintain consistency in their matter, and so as the episode goes on, they solidify.
Consume less heat in the atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. To
change their form
into matter or whatever.
Which is like, whatever. Honestly, I don't think we can criticize it that much because
they stole from us.
They stole
this script from us.
Our idea for our own season arc where the void itself is the void gains a consciousness and becomes a Who villain. So I mean, this is pretty close.
They stole it. We are suing.
Did. They've been listening, even though I don't think we've mentioned that yet. But anyway,
if you If I know for a fact that MI5 is listening, I know you put me on the no-fly list.
No-fly list or whatever, or special security list.
So you better put me on the full no-fly list because I'm coming for BBC.
Don't say that. So it's a big Scooby-Doo chase around the spaceship.
Yeah, basically.
We get a pretty cool scene where they're being cornered by the enemy, and the doctor lays a ring of salt around them.
Yep.
And he's like, because everyone knows, like, demons
you can't cross the line of salt till you've counted every grain.
Right. And the creatures are like, that's not true, because they're only going off
their
memory.
Thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, they're only going off what they can base off of what they're intimidating's memory. So they don't know what's real or not all the time, which is cool. And so, like, the Donna creature tries to start counting and whatever. And, but then, they figure out it's a myth. And they figure out the big deal with the slow walking robot in the hallway. It's a slow countdown because the monsters can't think slow.
Yeah. Because they were saying that's why they were trying to scare them, is because that increases adrenaline, which is increases how fast you can think. Yeah. And so they can clone you. So if they're thinking that slow, they can't process or clone that, was the explanation.
Whatever. It's a Doctor Who thing. I'll take it.
Who cares?
And the ship blows up. The Doctor almost takes the wrong Donna. He almost pulls a, you're going to have a great 31 years or whatever.
Yeah. Let me in, Doctor. Sorry, I can't.
He's always doing that. He's always taking the wrong ones. Or
always taking the wrong redhead, that guy.
Yeah, or leaving one behind or whatever, which he does, which is pretty epic.
Yeah, and I guess we never resolved this. You kind of maybe gave what the actual case was, but I was thinking he had gone to, quote, the end of the universe before last season in the Flux when he went to what was that called? Dominion?
The in-between, or this, you mean the...
What was
the
organization?
It did start with a D, didn't it?
I think so. Division.
Yeah.
Because it's called Division because
of
it's the division between two multiverses. Yeah, and so that would theoretically, I would think at least spatially, be the end of the universe.
I guess it's an end, but I think it was like artificially made because of the Flux. Or because of the Division.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Or the universe has been crushed because of the Flux.
But this is like the natural universe, like the unfluxified one. So whatever.
The unflushed.
But they did also kind of go like to the end of time or whatever, or end of the universe in what is it? And Martha's finale, three finale. Which one was that called?
In Utopia.
Yeah.
But I think that was the end of time, I believe. Like the last
vestiges
human
of humanity at least. Yeah.
That's like the last human colony. So, and like the stars have died out and things like that. Yeah.
It's not like he hasn't done something like that before.
And it's fine. It's a good idea that they stole from us.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's a good idea that they stole.
I would have particularly...
We would have done it better when we wrote it.
White void or whatever, but maybe he just meant... Maybe they're just Maybe they mean void as in just like it's literally a part of space where nothing is. You know,
Possible,
because
yeah.
that's different from the void
And that
of
we were saying,
Doomsday
yeah.
and Doomsday, which is the one we're kind of basing it off of,
Right.
where Rose almost gets sucked into along
The
with
singularity, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
A lack of anything is what we were thinking, which
Yeah.
is maybe what they're doing here, and they're at the edge. Whatever, whatever.
I mean, yeah. So they get out, and the Doctor has another epic base schizo moment, where he's like, I invoked a superstition
at the end of the universe.
Yeah, we like that.
That was good.
We like when
They
the
also
Doctor,
stole that from our script, by the way.
Yeah,
But
yeah, pretty much. We like when the Doctor second guesses himself and becomes a man of superstition or panic rather than like a man of cheap tricks rather than intelligence.
Yeah. And this episode ends with the last appearance of Bernard Cribbins before he died.
Yes, that is.
I looked into this today because I was wondering they did shoot this before he died, and the episode's dedicated to him because he died almost right after production wrapped.
Because he's not even in. Because he
July.
probably was going to be in, but they didn't have him in the following episode.
Yeah.
Which is rest in peace.
Yeah.
I liked him. I liked Will's character a lot. So.
Yeah, probably one of the best characters just on the show, honestly. Yeah. And he did great performances.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even his last
teary-eyed.
performance is always, it's happening again. It's the end of the world. Pretty good. Yeah, we go straight. They sort it out, and we go straight into the next craziness where everybody's acting all nutso.
Yep, and we'll get to that. Do you have any other thoughts on this?
No, I thought it was all right. It's again kind of midnight-esque.
It is, yeah.
One of those like low budget, or at least like low cast episodes that the more high concept, more like slow burn kind of deals.
Yeah, cosmic.
Yeah.
Bottle episode almost. Basically just midnight, honestly, but much worse.
Yeah. Come on, Davies.
I guess I'll just go into my notes here then. Spy Mids 3. That was an autocorrect, but it fits. He says this is, you're going to say, why, shut up, I'm going to kill you when I say this. But he says, you'll understand the end of the universe when you discover Camboolian flat mathematics, which accounts for absolute nothing. I'm going to come in here and destroy Davies.
Davies loves to do that, man. He loves having his doctor say techno babble.
You're using a prefix here, cam, to an already existing system. Boolean algebra is an existing system. It's what you use for set theory to determine where sets converge and where they're related to each other and contained within each other. It's
Camboolian.
It's like the mathematical equivalent. Well, logic's already mathematics, but it's like the mathematical equivalent of logic, essentially. And it makes no sense that would any way be related to discovering absolute nothing. I mean, kind of, if you're accounting for like an empty set, I guess. But
I mean, I picked up on that line too as like being a little obnoxious, but it's very true to form.
Yeah, no, it
Doctor
absolutely
Who.
is. Absolutely.
They that's something that's always been there, even since the beginning almost.
It's good to see that even in Time Lord mathematics that Irish people are getting representation though. Boolean was an Irishman. Boule.
Well, who's to say it wasn't just
an alien by that name?
No, a human, right?
Yeah.
That like discovered this new approach to Boolean mathematics. Whatever.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know what this means. My next note just says he's not dead. I don't know what that's in reference. Oh, it's Bernard Cribbins.
Okay.
And then I also have she was only 22 years old.
Yeah, because we had a dead pilot floating outside the ship. We love that scene though.
That's such a good track. Yeah, that's fantastic. This is a 6 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Yeah.
I agree.
And then we get our third and final special with Mr. Tennant here. which I feel like we said a couple seasons ago. Like, you know what is this?
Yeah,
10 seasons ago.
we were saying, and we'll get to it by the end of this episode as well, that he has the world record for like unconventional regenerations and stuff. So,
yeah. So this episode is all about the toy maker, the celestial toy maker, and
who apparently just came back into existence from the void or whatever.
So what happened in Classic Who is the first Doctor defeated him in his game and left his world, and but he said the toy maker won't die; he's immortal. He'll eventually just rebuild his world. But he can't like leave his world. He exists in the world of play. He's like this weird cosmic entity, right? Where he's in a parallel universe where physics are defined by play, not by like our structural rules, essentially. And so the explanation they give here is because I scattered salt at the end of the universe, I set him free from his world of play, I guess.
Which is silly, but we'll get into. I keep trying to jump ahead here, but which kind of goes in line with something we'll talk about in the next special, which is that it's become Doctor Who with the next episode or special in particular became like just pure fantasy.
And actually, I was looking into this today because I was interested, and I'm always prepping for this podcast, you know.
Yeah.
And Davies actually said how he wants to make. I'm going to come back to this because this is like a long thing, but he said he wants to make it more fantasy-esque, right? That was kind of his.
Look,
his
I give it a pass for this one because there was a pretext for it, for the toy maker coming back, and there's a particular point to this one being fanciful and magical and ridiculous rather than like sci-fi, where, I mean, you could argue the kind of sci-fi that Doctor Who is, it's basically bordering fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least it has this like faux pretense of logic or explanation or potentiality to it. Like everything can potentially happen if the technology was there, you know.
And it depends on who writes it as well, right? I think Moffat had a tendency in, say, his finales to go full like fantasy-esque. But in his standalone episodes, I think he was very dedicated to the sci-fi bits, to like the playing with time, to the whatever else, like these kind of scientific type things.
Yeah. So with this, I mean, I think they do give you a reason to suspend your disbelief even further than you usually do for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But then in the following one, I think it's a little far. But anyway, we'll get to that.
So they come back. The world's gone crazy. Everyone thinks they're right. We get a cold open where Neil Patrick Harris is doing a German accent, and he gives a man Skooky Bill, Skooky Bill,
Spooky Still. Yeah, I don't know. So
Spooky
creepy
Still
puppet that was supposedly the first.
Yeah, first televised image in human history. Yeah, by this Scottish guy. I don't remember his name. Never do.
Look at that.
But yeah, it turns out the toy maker encoded his giggle into Skooky Bill, who then encodes it, I guess, into every media screen in history or something.
And I guess that's what's transmitting, or. But then what's up with the satellite?
Well, the satellites, they said, connected. Now the whole world has internet. That was like the project. Oh. So I guess everyone has a screen now. So it's very like
Unit
nonsensical.
Unit found a temporary solution with these armbands so they wouldn't be affected.
Yeah.
They're waiting on permission from the U.S. to blow up the satellite.
Yeah, from because it's a South Korean satellite.
Oh,
I
that's
think.
what it is. Yeah, and
the president of the world shows up and goes, "You've got permission."
Yeah, the doctor gives him permission. Although they didn't bring up the president of the world thing.
They did.
I forgot about that.
That's a Moffat thing. Yeah.
It's one of your favorites. Anyway, dude shows up. The Mr. Man shows up and gives him a little Scooby-Doo haunted house hall of doors.
And we get some actually decent horror here. Yeah. With the dolls, with Skooky Skills family, which was okay, and like the guy, the assistant who had been transformed into a puppet.
And then you see, and then he transforms into the doctor's face as a puppet instead, and the toy maker's controlling him.
Yep.
And he puts Donna and the doctor in a theater.
Probably my favorite scene from the episode.
It's a really good scene. It's very unique looking,
and it's just
well.
Davies ranting about all the people that wrote after him.
Yeah, so the actual purpose of it is to recap Donna, basically, because she's been kind of pining to find out, like, what's been going on with you since...
The narrative purpose is to recap Donna. The actual purpose is, one, to recap the audience.
And shit on Moffat for being non-committal.
And two, to kind of emphasize the doctor's guilt, I guess, in like losing all these people and how he like justifies it, him being how Moffat justifies it, you know?
Right. But at the same time, is like what Davies ends up doing, he has no room to judge.
No.
Not at all. He's become just as bad.
Worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, because the master, or I always want to call him the master now because he gives those vibes.
The masturbator.
The master player. What's his name?
Toy maker.
Toy master. Is like, oh, here was Amy Pond, and then she died, and he's like, and the doctor is just sitting there looking pissed off. Just another.
Actually, that's something to mention. Tennant's facial expressions in this episode are fantastic.
I think the age helps.
I think it does too. Like when he walks into the toy maker's emporium or whatever, and we get that like flash of classic Who over it. And then it just cuts to Tennant's face, and he's like,
he's just having none of it.
Yeah, he's like, "Get out, Donna."
Yeah, and so yeah, the toy maker's like, "Oh, Amy Pond," and Tennant's like trying to rebut all of them and being like, "But she died of old age." Yeah, all this stuff. And I think the funniest one is with Bill. He's like, and then Bill became a Cyberman and died. And he's like, but our consciousness lived on. It's like, oh, Moffat.
And then he gets Chibnall too. And then he's like, and then the flux happened. And I don't know. And he just like cuts all the planets down. He's like, I don't know what happened there.
I think he's just taunting him for all the people that died from the flux.
Yeah, no, that's the narrative purpose, right?
Can you rack your brain and remember why the flux even fucking happened at all?
Division initiated the flux to
bring the doctor out of reality.
Yeah, because the doctor has been saving too many people, and they were like, "We got to get you out.
Okay.
You've done enough."
Okay, you know what? Hats off, Chibnall. That's just schizo enough that I kind of appreciate it. But your episodes still suck. Anyway. Then the showdown at the top of Unit. They're gonna.
Yeah, so they play two games. The first one's high card. And the doctor loses.
But then that means they're even.
So they have to
tie
best of three.
Yeah.
Best of three.
Yeah.
And then, Unit gets a fucking Avengers tower, apparently.
That's what
says Unit on the side.
Gonna blow up the satellite.
Fuck? Okay.
And they have the Vlix now. What the fuck is the Vlix?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I think. Here's my theory, right? Because they introduce the science officer in the first episode. She comes back in this one. Okay. Kate's been here.
Yeah.
They introduce. It's like they introduce the sick guy with the turban.
Okay.
He's in both episodes as like a Unit guy. I don't remember his name.
I thought there was some hot muscle Arab guy instead.
Maybe that's what. Okay, maybe I'm getting confused.
It wasn't the same guy.
Okay, that guy.
Yeah.
And they introduced the Vlix, and they introduced these headquarters. I think
it's just going to go into the next season.
It's a spinoff. No, I think it's a spinoff.
He's making another one, you think?
I think so.
You think he's making another one?
He's making another one?
He's making another one. No way. He could not. How could they let this man get away with it?
I think it is because a trailer came out like 2 weeks ago, and it's horrible. If you watch it, it makes you want to kill yourself. But it's for what they called the Whoverse. It's literally like shot for shot the Marvel intro, but with like Who clips.
No. I'm looking this up right now.
Yeah, you should. It's 20 seconds long or something. But
I don't prepare for this podcast at
all. So my theory is that they introduced all these things like the quirky robot companion, the headquarters.
Oh my god.
All these things because they're gonna do another spinoff, would be my guess.
Holy shit. You're right. You're totally right.
Do you like how bad that video is, by the way?
Hooniverse. It's not even Whoverse. They had to add the niverse. Hooniverse to make it sound even worse. Whoverse. Hooniverse. What, could they not get the rights to Hoovers?
The Horrorverse.
Oh, God.
So that's my theory there.
Wow. Yeah.
But the Vlix gave us our favorite moment in this
don't even
episode.
think he said all good.
He didn't. He said negative, but yeah, because they're testing the giggle, right?
Family Guy cutaway.
They're testing the giggle to see how it affects people, and the doctor's like, "I don't seem to be affected. The Vlix, are you good?" And it just cuts to him, and he's like, "Oh, good."
Yeah.
Oh. It's fucking
good.
Gold.
I don't know why that got us. But it's just the cutaway of the doctor referring to this fucking inane thing in the room that we have
no context of.
Yeah, it's just some weird like AI robot consciousness that
all good.
and it just cuts to him. They don't even like, he's not even in the same frame. They just cut away to him. It was just, the framing was ridiculous.
It was very strange. Yeah.
And anyway, they have a showdown with the
first Toymaker gets to do his Sound of Drums, Last of Time Lords, Chibnall Master dance party scene.
If it works, it works.
Do it again.
If my boy can't dance, if my boy can't do a dance number,
what's the point? What's even
where
the
he's
point?
killing people or something? That's the surefire way to like, in the Hooniverse. That is the surefire way to show that a villain is like
in charge
insane,
of
or he's in charge and he's completely insane.
Yeah.
I was much the Joker to Batman.
Yes.
Always gives me those vibes. Yeah. But I mean, the performance is well done. The choreography is well done. So
I was very disappointed with it until he spun Kate and like broke her back against the wall.
Old women. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh, also Mel comes back, and I think she'll be probably part of this spinoff. Is in my theory.
Yeah, she's which one was she?
She was with Peter Davison and I want to say Colin Firth. I don't remember that guy's name. Whoever Seven was.
Okay.
Or Seven. Yeah,
I wouldn't know.
No. It was Sylvester McCoy and Colin. Whatever. Who cares? She's really forgettable because all her episodes were just her getting kidnapped and like screaming, and she had no character. And yeah.
I gotta say, I looked at some stupid video in my algorithm that was like Doctor Who's continuity is on point and is related to like Sarah Jane being abandoned in Classic Who, and then like her return in School Reunion and such, and the 4th season finale. She was quite cute in the day.
Yeah. She was the
How was she as a companion?
Blueprint for the Doctor Who
companion. Modern companions?
Yeah. No, really? And everyone loved, like, Sarah Jane is, for Classic Who fans besides me, everyone's favorite companion.
She is kind of
she's like the companion.
The cute
young, like smart, has like the one-liners, keeps up with the Doctor. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah. I can see how that came from that. Anyway, that's an aside. The Toymaster takes over the laser gun and is going to blow him up.
Yep, and he does blow him up. He shoots the Doctor,
He shoots the Doctor, and he starts regenerate. Oh, yeah, he was like, the Toymaster was like, okay, I'll do your game, but first I'm going to do it with like a new Doctor.
Yeah, he said, your rules, I played the last game with the first Doctor, I played this one with you, so I need to play the next one with the next Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he shoots him, and he's like, okay.
Okay.
He's like, okay, I guess I'll die now.
They die now?
He doesn't say, I don't want to go.
He says, allons-y.
Yeah. And then we get a, this is different. And he tells his
pull my penis.
To pull him in half. And the new Doctor comes out of him.
Yep.
And he is bi-generated.
Yeah.
So there's two of him.
There's two of them. And this is something that, I mean, I have a lot to say about this episode. There is so much in this episode. But I did not understand this. I want to see how you understood it. I understood this as they're existing at the same point in time, and they're like clones, essentially. Mm-hmm. but apparently some people are saying he like came from the future, and David Tennant's going to later regenerate into him, and so it's like a past regeneration or something, which is why he says later.
That he's younger.
Shurigawa says he's older than he's the older doctor. Yeah,
Which one?
the new one says
The new
he's the
one.
older doctor.
That who's the older doctor?
He is
Who's he?
Shurigawa.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. Right. So he's from the future.
That was one interpretation, but I didn't think that was clear.
Yeah, I just took it as it's a unique, like asexual regeneration
Yeah.
kind of deal.
Yeah, they
where-
reproduced essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
and at this point, so
We might as well go into this now if we're here. Yeah.
I was weirdly like.
turned on when this
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, it was very sexual. No, especially because he had no pants on. No,
Yeah. The whole episode.
I was
He
like,
has
I was like surprised in the moment because I wasn't like, because I didn't know that was gonna happen. So I was like, I can't say I was expecting it because I wasn't.
Right.
But at the same time, I just like immediately accepted it because I was like, because it did feel when Tennant's supposedly about to regenerate, it did feel like completely rushed or half-hearted or
That's I
So-
have so much to say.
but at the same time, this is also a total cop out.
It is
Like it felt like, okay, Davies, you're actually gonna do this. You're just gonna boom, let him go just like that. Because I do feel like there's a precedent for there to be something different or something more.
well, if you're gonna bring someone back like
Yeah.
that, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, like I didn't really. I couldn't really see him just like, and then just gets put back up on the shelf and just gets taken away again.
The Vlix takes him.
Yeah, the Vlix absorbs him. But but this also is totally
All good.
a cop out. This is also totally a like saving Tenet for a rainy day.
Yes.
They try to explain it away with like he you know, his arc wasn't completed yet. He needed to have a family and settle down and stop running away from himself all the time, stuff like that. Which
Yeah.
like I appreciate that as a trait or an arc for the Doctor, but again, I can see the double-sided like conniving, money-loving side of it, studio.
So the way I've seen it is that I was wrong in thinking this was a, like you said, asexual kind of reproduction,
Okay.
and that he's been pulled from the future, and Tennant now has to go live with a family, like you were saying, and overcome his guilt and learn to, be his best self, and then he can regenerate into his next incarnation, which I think is fucking stupid, frankly.
It is a kind of microcosm for, or it is a parallel for like their audience. They have to tell their audience to be the best versions of themselves and get therapy, and they can finally be their true selves.
I know you like old Davies. I like old Davies too, to be fair. But I've never been a huge fan of Tennant. And since we're here, I'll just go into it. I think he's a great actor, but I don't know. He's just never been my favorite version of the Doctor. He was obviously well known, the most popular incarnation.
Yeah.
He is still what people think of when they think of New Who or just Doctor Who in general.
Yeah.
And I know we make fun of Moffat, and rightfully so. But this to me is why is part of the reason I don't like Davies, is because of that favoritism I've talked about.
Yeah.
It happened with Rose, and we kind of justified that because she was, the first companion, blah, 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 whatever. It has happened with Tennant so much now that I am so fucking
ridiculous.
angry. He gets to regenerate into a meta-crisis and live with Rose and be happy all the time. He gets this now. He gets to live with Donna and be happy all the time. It's so clear that either Davies... It's one of two things, right? Davies either has a hard-on for the David Tennant Doctor, which I think is a big part of it. Just wants to keep bringing him back, and he's just so great in the role. I want to, give his character all this. And two, the studio side of things, which is, holy shit, Chris Chibnall ruined our show, and we need something to bring people back. Oh, tell him Tennant's back.
Yeah.
Tennant will be always in our back pocket if ratings get low. You know, he's coming back. He's coming back.
He's absolutely going to be in an episode
and
next season or the finale.
I think the bi-generation thing is so dumb.
It's very cheap.
I know we break the rules all the time and we break regeneration rules all the time, but to do something so drastically different for seemingly no reason, it's very possible we'll get an arc reason for why Tenet was back, why we bi-generated. But right now it just feels like
it really
pure studio writing.
It really was. The reasons behind it were purely, completely emotional.
Yes.
Rather than
commercial.
Yeah, emotional in the plot. They were for emotional
Yes.
reasons. For outside reasons, they're for studio commercial reasons.
Yeah.
But we don't even get a sci-fi explanation.
Yeah.
It's just like a wow. This makes me feel good. I'm so happy. I would. So because of recency bias and because of how bad Doctor Who has been under Chibnall,
Yeah.
I was happy to see Tennant back.
I was happy to see him back too. He's clearly a great fit.
And that's because of how bad things have been.
Yeah.
Overall, if they had competent people running the show up to this point, then Tennant absolutely should have been left with his finale. I love his finale. And you don't like Tennant as much as I do, but I think his ending is...
He had a good end to his story. Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
It's great because he does have that sort of megalomania, like his last words are literally megalomania.
Yeah.
Megalomania.
Narcissism and
but it's like, but that's part of the reason I love him. And I'm sure you could say the same, for what you do like about him.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And so it absolutely should have been left there. But because of how bad it's been, I was happy to see him back. Otherwise, it definitely should not have. It definitely should not have done this.
Yeah. I'm willing to forgive the bi-generation if and only if, and they didn't do this, he was forced to stay with Donna and live out and do all that. But instead, Mr. Davies here wants to eat his cake and have it too because he's a disgusting fat person. He takes a comically large Joker hammer and splits the TARDIS in two and gives Tennant the original TARDIS. He doesn't even give...
the rules of play are still at play? What if
He doesn't give the new Doctor the original TARDIS. He devalues the new Doctor right away because he wants to give his fun little play toy the old TARDIS.
The jukebox?
Yeah, but it's the idea that you're not the real Doctor. You didn't get you don't get the original TARDIS. You get the goofy hammer TARDIS. It's just why did you have to give him that? If his whole point is letting go and not going on adventures anymore and coming to terms with his guilt, why did you I know why you did it. It's because you're a fucking sick creep who can't help yourself. But why did you do it?
Yeah. At the end there, when he's having dinner or lunch with Donna's family, Rose is like, "Oh,
you took me to Mars." Yeah.
No, it was New York, and I do think there is a difference.
Well, they said they went to Mars.
I thought it was just New York.
No, he took
Rose.
Sylvia to New York and took Rose to Mars.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the New York thing, and I thought that was significant because it was like a small thing.
Nope.
Versus a huge, big sci-fi adventure. Wow. Okay, so he literally does get to somehow come to terms with his grief and settle down and learn what it's like to be small and just be yourself and not this grand thing. But also get to keep his fucking TARDIS and do his sci-fi adventures anyways.
And that's an opportunity for another Whoverse spin-off show.
That's why they did that.
I know. I'm very aware.
You're right. It would have been almost forgivable, especially for a character arc reason for them to bring him back to completely tie off his character and have no unresolved issues, which doesn't need to be a prerequisite. But since they went there anyway. You're right. They wouldn't have given him his TARDIS. They wouldn't have let him also be able to just continue being the Doctor, but also be more or be less or be okay and
be okay.
be okay.
And I have a reason for this. I was going to save this for that the after all the episodes discussion, but it fits now.
Yeah.
And the reason is because Davies is trying to. I don't know if this is Davies or if this is Mr. Disney that bought out the
Might as
show.
well be the same thing.
But yeah, Davies is trying to reboot the show into a new era of Who. If you look, I don't know if you saw on Disney Plus, it's branded as season 1. It's so it's this is another reboot or a soft reboot or whatever.
Yeah.
And so these 3 specials with Tenet are like the bookend to New Who as we move into
It really was.
whatever this is.
It really was prophetic when we went on our post Who walk, as we always do. When you're like, and I agreed with you. You're like, I don't think Doctor Who even has the potential to ever be as good as it was again. But we can talk more about that at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
So that's part of the reason that we get this the way it is.
Yeah.
Is because this is the bow on top of New Who as we move on to Disney Who or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. We also get the hint for the Master's return as well.
In the gold tooth.
Yeah. The toy masturbator trapped another masturbator in his golden tooth, and some weird hand came and took it.
Yeah, so I have so much to say for this episode. Let me rewind, I guess. Neil Patrick Harris is great in this episode. I don't think I've ever seen a performance of his I have liked. And wow, he killed it.
Yeah.
He killed it.
He did pretty good.
Yeah. He was fun, he was scary. I didn't think he could pull off scary, but he did it okay.
Think so?
In like a fun, intimidating way, you know.
Right.
Yeah, like a Harold Saxon master, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. Tennant was fantastic in this. Both of them playing off each other was just great. Why was the last game they played catch? And more importantly, why did the Toy Master lose?
Pretty weird, because there's 2 of him. I don't know.
He's a god. He's literally good.
But he has to play by the rules.
Except he doesn't. He like very clearly cheats.
No, he plays by the rules of the game.
Yeah, but in old Who incarnations, he would always find like a loophole to cheat.
Well, at least the rebrand is that he plays by the rules.
Well, he did play by the rules then. He would just like find a loophole to cheat. And he does that in this. If you watch in their high card game.
How does he cheat?
Tennant, well, first of all, he shuffles the deck, which already like questionable, right?
Okay.
But then Tennant draws from the top and he just picks a card in the middle.
You're not allowed to do that?
I don't know. It just seems like you would draw from the top. No, I don't know. Whatever.
Would it really matter?
If you shuffled it, maybe. Yeah.
But before they play high card, Donna does bring up that fact. She's literally like, he'll cheat though, and then they have this obnoxious like, no, Donna, he always plays by the
Donna,
rules.
you stupid bitch.
Yeah, exactly. So I was.
What do you think of Licks?
So good. So I took that as okay. He's a god of chaos, but when it comes to like being challenged, he will play fair because he's an autist. He goes on this. I mean, it was a good monologue, but we made fun of it at the end there when he's about to do the final game, where he's like, "I want to play forever." He like,
I have it in the notes.
Yeah, he's like, "I want to play co-op, couch co-op, Halo 3 campaign, legendary,
forever,
all skulls on." Yeah,
for all eternity.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So thematically.
Oh, and Tenet says a slur. He says celestial.
He says celestial. Yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
So thematically or like social commentary wise, I think this episode's pretty clear in like television and media screens have
bad.
Essentially, yeah.
And also at the same time, take your vaccine and stop thinking you're right.
In screens have what do you call that when you're so isolated on yourself? Whatever. Who cares?
Self-absorbed.
There's a word I'm looking for, but it doesn't matter. But like everyone is right. They all have the right opinions, whatever. That's like the point of the episode, right? Mm-hmm. And they encode that into the narrative in a little on the nose, but fairly okay way, give like a goofy sci-fi reason for it. And at the same time, it's also thematically a very emotional episode, like you were saying, of Tennant's arc and coming to terms with the people he's lost and the mistakes he's made. Like you said, when he regenerates and he has that line, like,
You want to go?
the people lost. I lost so many people. Whatever he's, who cares?
What?
I don't know.
I think the budget for this episode is pretty great because you
Yeah.
actually do get a full like street chaos moment where there's real people doing some real crazy things. You even get an aside from some extra where he's like challenging a pickup truck in the road to run him over.
I've always been right.
Yeah. Pretty funny, pretty novel.
Yeah, so I actually really like this episode up until the toy maker gets on the gun.
Yeah.
And it's because I think this should have been a two-parter.
Really?
I don't think the pacing matches because the first part is so good. It's so well put together. Everything flows.
Would have preferred one of those famous Davy two-timers.
Yeah. I would have liked more from the toy maker, more like hijinks of the world, like raising the stakes more, like we were saying, and maybe just more like character type interactions. Because the second he gets to the gun, it feels so compressed to me when I was viewing it. It was like, oh, what are you doing out there? Boom. Oh, Tennant got shot. Oh, he's two people. Oh, they're playing ball. Oh, he hit the TARDIS. Oh, he's at dinner. Oh, it's over. I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, it was kind of rushed a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, he did a Clara TARDIS moment, huh? After making fun of it.
Why don't we just do it with the rest of them?
Honestly,
why couldn't he just?
That's the other thing I saw. I do a lot of research before these. I don't remember where it was, if this was official statement or not, but someone was saying like, I think it was Davies was saying this, that in a sense they all bi-generated, so all the old doctors are still around in their timeline or something like that.
They're fucking time travelers.
Exactly.
You can just bring them back.
Exactly. It is fucking brain.
We'll ignore that they look older. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt, okay?
We don't fucking care.
They can have more like adventures. We didn't have to spend every second of every day with them in their era.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't fucking know anymore. It's so fucking stupid. But I think that's it. I think I can go to the nuts now. Unless you have something.
I'm kind of at a loss. I can't believe we still have to talk about another one after this. I have very little to say about the next one other than I fucking hate it. But go ahead.
Melanie shows up. I have Toy Mazer Macher.
Yeah.
Because I mistyped. I don't know. I love when my phone autocorrects these notes. They become so much better. What about you, the block?
The block.
We have a Scarecrow Arkham from the Toy Maker.
Yeah. When he gets all big.
Yeah.
It's all stormy. Yeah.
The Vlick's all good. This is the part I was thinking in a German accent. I could play Among Us.
We will play Among Us in the stars.
I do like this episode. The last like 10 minutes are not good.
Right.
But I think this is probably tied with the last one in terms of the one I enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
Mostly just because of Neil Patrick Harris.
Spectacular like crash landing.
Yeah. So I'll give this a 6, but
dang.
I don't know. It's like similar to the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meh.
I agree.
Meh. And so that's the end of New Who. And now we move on to season 1. The Christmas special for season 1. This is the church on Ruby Road. Ruby who?
Who?
Ruby who?
What's her name?
This is very structurally, and I think in a lot of ways, visually too, trying to be the new Rose, the new, like, you can start watching it here. This is the new series, you know?
I guess so. because it's so they try to make
stupid.
they try to make every Doctor's first episode or Companion's first episode they try to make it a spectacle. They try to make it incredibly like outlandish in the sense that, it's a first for that companion, so it's trying to like relate that to the audience, where it's almost like a first for you, as being introduced to the Doctor and this world and his crazy bigger on the inside box and so forth.
Bigger on the inside dick.
And this one, bigger on the inside kilt skirt. They go crazy because it is literally just a fantasy. There's practically nothing sci-fi about it other than the Doctor and the TARDIS itself.
The shardis, the shirt piss.
Yeah.
Oh, and we were wondering about his accent.
His gloves. Yeah, go on.
And I said he sounded Scottish, and he's Rwandan Scottish.
Yeah.
So it was Scottish.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah. That mystery is solved. If you were wondering, yeah. I don't.
The next mystery is when will
we stop watching
arrested?
this show?
I don't care for this episode. I think it's boring.
Was pretty boring.
I think it's boring. I think it's very obvious they're gonna make Ruby Rose.
Ruby who?
Ruby Sunday's arc. Her mom who abandoned her, so she's a.
And you know what her mom's gonna be?
What?
Mavity.
Mavity? Mavity Sunday. I don't know. She should have been a nun.
She should have been a nun.
She should have been a nun. She was dropped off at a church, but instead she was adopted by some lady. Who cares? I don't think it's that interesting. I thought I would have cared a little bit more if they make a big point about, she's done this loads of times. Look at all these kids she's helped, these orphan kids she's helped. Here's her whole big family up on the fridge, which is sweet and nice and everything. So why didn't the Doctor fucking bring them all there for Christmas and do something human, remotely human, instead of doing the most inhuman thing that humans do lately, which is go clubbing?
That is
fucking useless. Which is act bi and go clubbing.
He bi-generous.
He bi-generous. I didn't know that meant he's bisexual now.
It's very clear to me that Davies has lost his touch because the family characters in this, the grandmother's name is Cherry. I don't remember the mother's name. They feel like Chibnall characters. They feel like Grace and
Empty.
Graham and Ryan. They're like these nothing characters.
Oh, I need to learn how to ride a bike. Oh, my mother.
And yeah, Ruby feels like that as well.
Ruby feels. I think No, I talked to this about somebody else. I will say, as much as I don't really care for Billy or Nardole or that was the only
that was 10,
or even a few of Chibnall's companions like Yaz and Dan.
Yeah.
As much as I don't care for them compared to like the others that came before them, they were slightly. They held my interest slightly.
Yeah.
Ryan and Graham were super boring.
Absolutely.
But Yaz and Dan made up for it a little bit. They balanced it out. They were slightly interesting. Billy was interesting.
Yeah.
I even liked Nardole.
Nardole was good. Yeah.
I liked him.
Where's the little boys?
It's only one episode so far, but Ruby Sunday. I keep wanting to say Ruby Rose. I don't know what that is.
Ruby who?
She was nothing. She was so utterly boring. She plays piano.
She doesn't have a mom. That's it. That's it.
And
there's nothing else.
The new Doctor cries every second he can fucking get to, and pulls down a giant floating old-timey ship with goblins in it with his gloves that were explained that wouldn't be able to do that. No, we don't need to. I want to be done with this episode and done with this shit. It just sucked. It was boring. I didn't like it.
Yeah, and I think it's very clear how much they spent on the 60th specials because this episode is literally a club for one scene, apartment for 40 minutes, a goblin ship for 10, and then it's over.
There's 2 streets for 1 minute.
Yeah. So it's very clear that they are out of money. um, which good. I hope so.
I'm learning the language of rope. Is that what he said?
That is what he said. Yeah.
Ruby, I'm learning how to speak rope to you. I'm learning how to sling rope, Ruby. It's over. That's all I got to say.
Does anything else need to be said? Yeah. He establishes his gloves as putting all of his mass into the gloves so he doesn't have to hold on or anything. But it's still his mass. And then at the end, he can apparently just pull down the whole ship with the gloves on, as if that wouldn't just be the same mass as him dangling from the ship, and would not.
Yeah, would he not
pull it
just be
down at
lifting
all?
himself up?
Yeah.
Right. If
Yes.
we're gonna go Looney Tunes on this shit,
Yeah,
you gotta stick to your.
he would need like boots as well that like magnetize or something, right? Or anything. I don't care. Anything. Anything.
Oh,
This episode, we almost get Death by Christmas Star.
and they don't
and
even
then
give
they
that
undo
to
it.
us.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
That would have
That would have been the only redeemable thing about this episode. Because even. Look, I get it. They were trying to make it goofy and fun or whatever. But like they go with the whole like gremlins. They're goblins, but gremlins.
It's Gremlins, yeah.
They're gremlins. They're
It's a Christmas special.
causing
It's Gremlins, yeah.
mischief. And then they do this weird dance number though. Where
Shit! I totally forgot
You
about
forgot?
that.
That was the whole thing. That was like the grand reveal of the creatures, the
Yeah.
monsters this episode with the goblin. They do a goblin
They do a
concert.
musical number, and then the doctor,
doctor
and
joins
Ruby
in,
join
too.
in. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. That felt totally natural.
That was a fever dream. Yeah.
That was more fever dreamish than the giant steampunk Cybermen taking over London.
That didn't happen. That didn't happen. Yeah, that was strange. It was kind of a catchy song. But
Yeah, we also got to see the doctor dance in his skirt in the club.
That's true, yeah.
I wonder if he'll do more of that. I wonder if he'll do more singing.
it's very possible.
I can't wait.
Like I said, this
This is for childish
Yes.
wine drinking women
Yeah.
who go to Disney every year.
yes, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have anything really else to say.
This show used to be for like this. Okay, this show used to kind of be like anime, and you and you don't even like anime, and
no, you're absolutely right.
but I am right. I am totally right in the way that this show used to kind of be like anime, and it also therefore was also for like autist, like white nerds,
Yes, yeah.
white boy nerds, kind of. Yeah, not like anime like Dragon Ball Z, like a different anime, like something
like
stupid.
Evangelion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. Like Full Metal Alchemist or something.
Yeah.
Something like that, where it's like good guy wins, but they try to be a little unique at the same time. But now it's Marvel, it's Disney.
Yes.
It's
Well, it literally is. Disney.
Literally.
And it literally is Marvel. You see the Hooniverse trailer?
so that's where we're at. And why are we still here?
Remember when Moffat did Marvel Doctor Who and it was terrible?
Yeah.
The Doctor Goes to War or
Yep.
Good Man Goes to War.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chibnall also had some kind of like he tried to do some like actiony type
The
things.
Battle of Rancid Ass Colon.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That was very much like we're going
Star
to defeat
Wars
the bad
Marvel,
guy.
Yeah. I guess I'll read my notes and then we can just go more general here. But Ruby who? Glove inconsistent. It's magic now? It's magic now. I don't know what this one means, by the way. Oh, I got it. No, I read it. Now it makes sense. Grooby Grub Day. And then, never shot myself before.
I don't know that one.
He's never done it. It's the first time. This is between like a 2 and a 3. It's probably a 3 if Star Beast was a 3. I think I like this more than Star Beast.
Star Beast.
but it's not good. Yeah. So back to that Davies quote. He said a couple of things. He said he wants to do more fantasy type stuff, which I'm guessing is in line with the childification of it. He also said he wanted to do more god type beings. I guess he's ripping off TOS Star Trek because, as Harlan Ellison said, Gene Roddenberry has one story. They go into space and encounter God, and God turns out to be a little boy. That's that's every Star Trek story.
And he's taking from Jib Null. He's keeping it.
Yeah,
he's keeping it. In fact, he seems to be reveling in it.
He's doubling down on
it. He's reveling
yeah.
in the whole Doctor's a God thing.
And yeah, we kind of get a hint of the series arc in the Toymaker one as well, because the Toymaker's, when he's boasting, he's like, "Oh, I beat the master, and then I didn't dare fight someone else who I would never play a game with," or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's our God entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the things that he said. I was reading the collected works of Mark Fisher the other day, his K-punk collected works, and he had a little essay on Doctor Who back from 2005 when the renewal was coming on.
What do you have to say?
He had and some interesting points here. This is back in 2005, right before the renewal, because it starts with, "As I nervously anticipate the new Doctor Who," right? And it goes on to talk about how important Who was to British culture and how it like kind of defined a generation. And I would argue it did the same in the new Who iteration as well.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of how that brand of uncanny, Unheimlich is Mark Fisher's favorite word. That horror type sci-fi thing really like captured the collective unconsciousness of people. And he uses it in like a psychoanalytic way. But I don't think we have that anymore because we've lost that. We're no longer edging. We lost that edge to Doctor Who, right? Now it is.
But in the same way that it did define a generation, I think this new Doctor Who is defined by a generation.
Absolutely.
I think this is the Doctor Who we deserve because
Doctor Who we need,
because people are so shit now.
Yeah, no,
it's cyclical. It's like they allowed themselves to be defined by this new Marvel culture while also, they retained that, and now it's being expressed in future media forever.
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't think that's just a Doctor Who problem. It's kind of just a media problem at this point.
The West is Reddit.
I'm giving this Doctor Who season Reddit gold.
The West is a Reddit post.
And I'm down voting. I think I guess we kind of went over the David Tennant point and how Davies and fans and studio just can't let go, and it's depressing.
Yeah, it's a addiction to content. Inside you, there are two wolves. One of those wolves inside of me is like there's an inkling of me that is like, oh, cool. I get to get more Tennant Doctor, but then the more rational side of me is like, this is bait. They're doing it for the content forever. They're doing it for limitless, endless content. They look back and they say, what made this content so good? I don't know. Let's just literally do it. Let's just literally do it again. Yeah. Let's just try and make it infinite instead of like building upon it. Just make it static. Yeah. But you're not making it static. You're making it worse. You fucking slime.
I remember when Ncuti Gatwa was announced. At least I kept calling him the nothing but a coincidence guy. And then his first episode...
Dylan racism.
His first episode is about coincidences.
That is true.
There's no such thing as a coincidence.
Yeah, that's insane. Because the whole goblin thing, like they're like their physics is happenstance. Yeah. Weird.
There is no such thing as a coincidence. I was right.
You were right.
I was right.
That is wild, though.
I don't know if I really have anything else to say. I think I kind of went through most of my points there. Other than they failed if they're trying to do a new Rose and a new season one. I mean, they passed in a practical sense in the same way that Chibnall passed with like Woman Who Fell to Earth, in that you can jump in and have no prior knowledge and be fine. But they failed in the sense of making something good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just nothing, though. That's the thing. It's like if you...
They're no things.
They're no things. They are the things that are...
They're the void.
All they heard was the hate and the rage
and
the begging for content, the Reddit masses begging for more of the same dopamine hits over and over. That's what they heard. They're the no things that are like just, they take all of that and that's the form they take. And now they're, this is going to be it forever. They're not human. BBC, you're not human, and we're coming for you, and we're gonna be the new showrunners, and we're gonna make it good again with our grand ideas, like a Victorian.
Actually, pianist. Should we go through these before they steal from us again?
Well, that just guarantees it at this. But maybe we want them to, so it'll be good.
True. Okay, here's our.
No, they're gonna take it and make it like they're gonna bastardize it.
That's true. Yeah, just like they did the no things.
Yeah.
Here's our pitch. All right, ready? Hire us, BBC. Here's our pitch. Andy Serkis, doctor. Capaldi, but meaner.
Yeah.
And he lands in Victorian London. First episode, right? And there's an alien threat, as always. And he stumbles onto this concert pianist from Victorian London.
He's touched by the music.
He goes to like a Brahms concert and starts crying or something. Because he's in so much guilt from the death of his companion, and
we killed all his previous companions. We killed them, all of them.
We perma kill Clara. Yeah,
we have Clara fly back in just to immediately die,
get decapitated, and eventually she like starts following him around, right, and finds the TARDIS, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on in there, sir?"
That's good.
And the doctor's like, "Get out of here! I'm trying to save the Earth." Right? He's grumpy. He's mean. And then he fights the aliens one-on-one, and he goes to close the door with his sonic screwdriver, but the door chops his hand off.
Okay, this was a last-minute addition. I don't know if
he loses his hand. But he's gonna go fly the alien ship, but he can't now because their control panel is like a keyboard.
Wait, so is it like Christmas Invasion where he gets to grow his hand? Yeah. You just don't want him to have a sonic screwdriver, but go on. Exactly. Go on.
But it's like a piano is the control panel.
The console to the spaceship is like a triple-decker organ / grand piano.
And he goes, I can't do it. And he's like so defeated for a moment, and he's watching like Earth blow up or something. And then she steps out from the TARDIS because she snuck in. And he's like, "Is that a piano?" And then there's this epic montage of her controlling the ship playing piano.
I thought what it was she was being tricked by the alien into controlling the spaceship, which is what should happen.
We're working it out.
We'll work out the kinks. And she was, because I had the imagery of her being blindfolded while playing, because why would she play?
Maybe she's blind.
Ship? That's a good idea. Yeah. We got a blind and a nun orphan.
Ooh, that would be a good TARDIS reaction. Because she walks in and just doesn't say anything.
She just thinks she went into a building.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then we have, later in the season, we have an Ood butler.
There you go.
Who will later be possessed by the void. I can't spoil that because Chibnall will take that. Or, Davies will take that. They're the same person at this point.
Yeah. Might as well be.
And then we also have a nun companion. Who's going to point out like the theological side of every argument. And we're going to pin the Victorian pianist who has this very Victorian worldview with this nun companion who is maybe like modern or like a little in the future, but she's a nun. So she has this like theological worldview. And these are both going to clash with angry Andy Serkis doctor who doesn't want to deal with them and just wants to, He wants them to fuck off, but they won't leave.
And then we'll have an episode with the Vlix and the Alan Rickman
Oh,
AI. We'll bring back Alan Rickman or we'll keep him alive via AI, and he'll be a villain along with the Vlix. He'll be possessed. He'll possess the Vlix.
The doctor
And he'll
will walk
go,
in and be like, "The Vlix, are you good?"
"Yippee-ki-yay."
And he'll go, "All bad," and
go,
then he'll go, "Doo doo doo."
That's good. That's good stuff. We're gonna combine the Doctor Who intro with Crazy Frog.
That's what she has to play on the piano.
They'll be flying. The Crazy Frog will be. We'll see the stars flying through space with that playing. These are good ideas. BBC, call us.
Call us. Take me off the no-fly list. Yeah.
Or put them on it.
Or double down. Cowards. If you're gonna go half my head. Yeah. That's it. That's our Doctor Who season. We won't give you any more information because I know for a fact you'll steal. I know you're listening, you slimy, fat, Davies, disgusting, sick.
Bring back old Davies who hated fat people.
Now he is fat people.
Now he is.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the return of Eccleston. Until then,
seriously, dude,
it's over.
If they want to nostalgia bait us, they've done nothing but keep Eccleston at bay even more.
Yeah.
But the fact that they bring Davies specifically back,
yeah,
maybe you had a chance if you were doing something completely new with somebody else. But this is like we're not seeing him again.
They wanted to bait us, but they just baited themselves. Master baited them. Master.
Good place to end it. That's a good ending.
That's it. Hope you liked.
Hope you like and subscribe. Subscribe to Disney Who. Welcome to the Disney Whoniverse.
You're gonna have a great 2.5 billion
You're gonna have a great Reddit
years.
slop. You're gonna have a great
upvote gold.